GX and how powerful the effect is, but how maybe it's just not as popular as other Pokemon decks are going to be throughout the weekend. But we're seeing it right now in round 3 action, as of course he is 2-0 going up against the 2-0 player Joe Bernard.
Yeah, both these players are bringing pretty interesting twists on decks that we've already commented on. Joe is going to be playing Buzzwole GX, but it's a pretty standard as far as 2-2 auxiliary, just playing like a super consistent list. But he does have techs in there. He's got Zygarde EX, so we're going to see that. Of course, he's got Diancie Prism Star in there to start to give him a little more attack, but he's more focused on the GX Buzzwole instead of hitting with Sledgehammer.
Okay, and what do you think about Sean's version of the Rayquaza GX deck with something as interesting as, for example, Jinx?
Yeah, he's actually teched in a card like Jinx. It's never going to attack for you, but the Jinx from Generations, it's going to remove 10 damage from your active Pokemon while it's sitting on the bench. That's pretty good.
And what do you think of Marshadow here?
I don't know too much about Marshadow, to be honest. He's playing 3 of them, though, so he's certainly got an idea going into this match of how to use that card.
It's going to be interesting to see this deck play out. I really do have high hopes for not only Sean Foisy, but the Rayquaza GX here. And I do expect to see it do quite a bit of work and put up a great match against what's now known as kind of old reliable here in Buzzwole GX.
Okay, so this Marshadow is the one from Shining Legends. He's playing the Let Loose, which is a play. We've seen it with a Giratina before. You were able to shuffle in both of your hands and draw 4. It's basically a judge effect. But if he's able to use this during his turns, it's a way that he can have an end effect, but also not give up his turn, which is something that the Rayquaza decks had to struggle with. They always want to use Guzma or a Sycamore on their turn and really start to burn through their deck. But this is a way that you can disrupt your opponent without having to waste your whole supporter.
Absolutely. The fact that he plays 3 of it, though, is really interesting.
Yeah, you'd think that you'd run out of bench space at some point, right? You got a Jinx down there. You got 3 Marshadow. But it's working for him.
All right. Well, we do see that both of these players are still shuffling their decks. It seems like Sean had to maybe re-sleeve his deck a little bit. Due to the cameras and whatnot, we do want to make sure that these players provide us with as little glare as possible.
Yep. So
that we can have the cleanest match possible here for you guys on stage. As far as matchup is concerned, how do you expect this matchup to play out, Kyle?
I'm sorry. I just looked down at the list and I see Champions Festival, and I just blanked. Sean has gone for such an interesting style of this deck that it actually pairs up pretty well against Buzzwole. He's got the Jinx to start to remove some damage, and then he's got the Champions Festival where he can start to remove damage on his board as well with a full field, and he's going to fill his bench pretty well. So he's actually probably got a pretty good matchup against Buzzwole. If he can just swap between his cards and just start to heal off the damage of 30-30s everywhere, no damage is going to stick.
I mean, that part's true. But what about once Buzzwole starts getting its Beast Rings going and starts dealing just insane amounts of damage to these Rayquaza GXs? Will they be able to keep the consistency coming? Will they be able to keep attacking for heavy damage later in the game? Yeah,
that one piece is going to come down to Wishful Baton. And that is a card that Sean plays. It's a way that he can transfer those energies after being knocked out. He can just take those 3 energies and put them on someone else. Probably going to be another Rayquaza GX. And we know that Joe is playing a Buzzwole deck. They're not known for playing Field Blowers, but he does have 1. So he has a potential out to getting rid of those energies off of Wishful Baton. If he's able to combine that with a knockout in the same turn, then Sean could lose his energies. And when he's starting to attack for 2-hit knockouts instead of a 1-hit knockout, that's when he's going to start seeing some trouble.
Absolutely. I think your analysis of the matchup seems pretty spot on, and it's going to be really cool to see it play out before our very eyes in the next hour, as both of these players are rolling to see who's going to go first. It seems like we're going to find out in a few seconds.
Joe looked excited with it. He patted himself. Maybe he's going first.
Yeah, but Sean didn't flinch, Normally players are like, oh, man.
Oh, rats.
Maybe.
He's been here before.
For the professional,
Maybe it just doesn't faze him. Or maybe he's thinking, hey, I get the first attack. I'll just attack you first, or who cares?
All right, well, the new sleeve's already putting in work against Sean, as we now see them start to set up their prizes. 6 prizes apiece for each player. Let's see if these prizes have any negative effects on these players.
Yeah, it looks like 1 Rayquaza is in the prize cards there. So that's going to be a little impactful.
Well, looks like the prizes are gone, actually.
I think they were waiting for us. Yep. So we're going to see Joe's prizes coming down now.
All right, so now Joe Bernard with Buzzwole GX. Laying down his prizes. We see a Brooklet Hill. Nothing too scary, of course.
B-string at the top.
Yeah.
He's not going to get any use out of that, but maybe he draws from the top. Who knows?
All right, Joe Bernard starting things off here. Game 1 in round 3 between Joe Bernard and Sean Foisy. Joe Bernard playing Buzzwole GX, the big bad deck from North American Internationals, still making a splash here in the World Championships in Nashville, against Sean Foisy playing Rayquaza GX, the deck that's come out of nowhere from this new set and is set to make a splash here. Which deck will come out on top? Joe Bernard plays a Cynthia on turn 1, finding himself 6 new cards and hopefully finding himself more than just this Remoraid with a Floatstone attached to it.
Yeah, he definitely would like to find a Buzzwole or Buzzwole GX. Just some card to start working. If he was able to find a card like Brooklet Hill, I'm sure he probably plays a couple of those. Yeah, he's got 3 Brooklet Hill in his deck. That'd be a great card to find. But looks like he just found a lot more of those vanilla Cynthias we were talking about, Ultra Ball 2. So probably just going to hold off on that and wait for the turn 2 Octillery.
Guarantee you, Joe isn't very excited about that Cynthia right now. As Joe is basically just kind of forced to retreat that Remoraid for free because of that Floatstone, of course, and just promote the Buzzwole GX with the Fighting Energy and pass. And now Sean Foisy, will he have one of these major Rayquaza turns that we've come to see from this deck?
Oh, how cool is this? The Mysterious Treasure could also search out the Marshadow, so he's got a few ways to be able to get his deck going.
I like how you're just in awe of the Marshadow tech.
Hey, I wasn't thinking of this. This hand is gas. He's got everything.
There's the Max Elixir. Oh,
Ooh.
but he misses. It was really powerful, but missing on that Max Elixir is just not exciting. Not good at all here if you're Sean.
Yeah, and look how important the Wishful Baton is to Sean. He knows that once he puts this card down, it's most likely going to stick. It's a really hard decision, though, because you know that if you get rid of that Floatstone, you're probably not going to get a first-turn attack going. And right now, expect him to either grab his last Tapu Lele or a Marshadow. It looks like Tapu Lele is going to be the play, finding Sycamore. This is his last Tapu Lele, and he's also starting to fill his bench a little early, and only 1 Rayquaza so far.
The thing about Wishful Baton is, it might suffer the repercussions of weakness policy being around right now. Because of that, it seems like a lot of the Buzzwole players are choosing to go with Field Blower. I haven't actually checked to see if Joe is one of the players who is going with Field Blower, and he is actually. So we could see that Wishful Baton just hitting the discard pile before it's able to have a good effect on him for Sean. And now we see that Champions Festival, by the way.
Yeah, top 32 stamped, just showing off a little bit.
Why not? Been there before.
That's right.
Got to make it to day 2 in order to have a chance at that top 32, though.
Yep. Joe gave a little bit of a reaction. No! Lost his good hand. He had the Ultra Ball. He was going to be able to get Octillery, play a Sycamore, and wasn't going to lose too much off of it. But now it's up to 4 cards. He could just draw dead here, and he'd be in trouble.
Marshadow, just such a powerful effect with Let Loose. Sean drawing 4 cards. Joe drawing 4 cards. Still does not have Octillery in place, so this could be a really, well, never mind, as Joe just draws about perfect here.
Yeah, that is a really good hand. And on the other side, Foisy did not find anything. He wasn't able to get any more Rayquaza going. He found Jinx, but that would be a lot of Pokemon on his bench that don't do much.
Yeah, just not an explosive start out of Sean here. And now we see an Ultra Ball here for Joe. Finding Joe any Pokemon he wants to find. Eyes that Diancie.
Yep, I think he was just checking to see if it's there. I don't know if the damage is terribly impactful right now. He does have strong energy, so maybe he's looking for a Pokemon to work on the bench. Maybe you can find another Buzzwole and start attaching to that with the strong, or maybe he goes aggressive, plays the strong energy on the Buzzwole, and then gets the Deancey and draws 5 cards.
Looks like he goes for the Deancey here.
Yep, the math might start to work out here for him. If he does attack right now with the strong and the Deancey does 70, which means that it sets up for a choice band to take a knockout on the following turn and leave some less cards he needs. You could also find Beast Energy. There's so many things that could help him out here afterwards.
All right, now we will see Artillery draw 4 or 5 new cards for Joe. I think it's 5, right?
Yep, 5 cards. And he really is good at finding Ultra Balls.
Not so good at finding other items, though, as these Ultra Balls are going to have to really pull heavy duty for Joe.
Yep, he does play 2 Super Rods, so it feels comfortable being able to play down and lose those 2 basic fighting energy. And looks like he's going to go with good old Cynthia.
All right, not exciting, but still powerful nonetheless, as Cynthia will shuffle in the 2 remaining energies, and the 1 energy in the last Ultra Ball in Joe's hand for 6 new ones. Hopefully we see, well, if you're Joe, you really want to see things like Max Elixir here, assuming he plays it. He might not, though.
Nope.
Yeah, you want to see cards that just help you continue to set your board up and really start to punish Sean if Sean can't draw anything out of his 4-card let loose.
Yeah, right now for Joe, he was able to find Super Rod, so he can start getting some of those basic energies in. But he's going with a list that basically you just attach to the opening Buzzwole as many times as you can. And then once that falls, you take advantage of those B strings. And you try to get as many of them down as fast as possible. He does play 4, so if he's able to get multiple down on that turn that his opponent goes down to 4 prizes, then he can be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, he's not the Buzzwole Lycanroc player that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, where's Rockoff?
Yeah. He got traded in for his Zygarde, apparently.
That's a pretty good trade.
All right. Now, Sean here, will he be able to recover from his own let loose? C3 energy on this Rayquaza now. And just an N, so just an energy N so far out of Sean. Will his new hand of 6 be able to deliver a little bit better than that? You have to hope so.
Yep. He had a Jinx in his hand. Looks like he prioritizes getting those last 2 spots down for Rayquazas, and then he'll be able to activate the Champions Festival and start to remove some damage. That could really mess with the math and make Joe have to potentially go in with an Absorption or one of those heavier attacks.
That is the look of concentration if I've ever seen it, by the way. As Sean is trying to find an opening here, trying to see if he can pull ahead. It looks like his opening hand is, his hand is just Tapu Koko and some energies and Float Stones.
Yeah, Float Stone means he can come in and attack for 90 if he wants, but I don't know if that's really worth it. You have Wishful Baton, but you don't have another Rayquaza for those energies to go to.
Yeah, and there's already 30 damage on this Rayquaza. It's just too dangerous to play, obviously.
He also has to know that Guzma is probably on the table for Joe next turn, though. So maybe you just cash in the damage right now. Might have to do something awkward, like play down the Koko, but not use the ability. Or maybe he's just going to feel safe just putting all the energies on the Tapu Lele next turn if a Field Blower weren't to be played.
Well, 90 damage as Dragon Break can just kind of... I guess tickle the Buzzwole a little bit, but that's about it. There's no breaking to be made here.
90 damage used to not be a tickle, but right now it is.
Yeah, it's just not exciting. You know, it's something that if you're Sean, you're just going, oh, man, all right, I guess, 90 damage. Please don't do anything to me.
Yeah, and Joe has to be ecstatic just to see that. And he's got his Brooklet Hill. He's trying to map out his hand and just see how many cards he can play down before he plays that Octillery's Abyssal hand. And pretty much, I think he's just an energy away from being exactly where he needs to be.
And he has the energy in his hand, too, and I think he's debating discarding it, which is... Okay, there we go. I was going to say, which is a little interesting, because that's just a little bit too much risk for very little reward. But no, he does attach it and just goes for a much less I keep using the word exciting when talking about Cynthia, but the truth is that
It's not flashy, but it's good.
Exactly. It's just it's not going to overextend him either. It's not going to make him discard resources that he might need later on.
Right.
He knows that he doesn't really need to do anything special here. He just needs to knock out this Rayquaza and hope that his opponent doesn't come with something up out of nowhere, because it's going to be out of nowhere if he does.
Yep. So off these 6 cards, if he's able to find Field Blower, this game pretty much locks up. Don't think we see it. That means that these energies will be switching over to the Tapu Lele, and that means a return knockout's possible. So right now, it's really up to Joe to just make sure that he can find Buzzwole and Beast Ring to follow up. So he's probably just going to start to plan out for that with the Ultra Ball.
Joe, Ultra Ball's potentially finding what's become affectionately known as Baby Buzzwole. Sure enough, goes for the Baby Buzzwole here, the non-GX Buzzwole. As if Sean does knock out Joe's Buzzwole GX, Sean will be left with only 4 prizes remaining, which is exactly where Buzzwole wants to be.
Yeah, and Sledgehammer lines up pretty perfectly once you have Diancie in play. That Prism Star means that your attacks do 20 more damage, so if you have a Choice Band, you're hitting for 170 with Sledgehammer if your opponent is at 4 prize cards, which you try to set them at 4 prize cards with that Buzzwole GX opener.
Now, is Joe going to be done with this turn after Abyssal Handing? He finds that Beast Ring, by the way.
2. Man, yeah, that is exactly what you want to see. I mean, the only card missing from the equation was the Field Blower, but you got to be happy with that, man. That's really good.
Yeah, that's just such a powerful following turn for Joe, unless Sean can sniff it out and potentially play an end here.
Yep, we did see the Wishful Baton. It transferred those energies over to Tapu Lele. That means Tapu Lele is hitting for 120 damage right now. So knockouts are available, and we're going to see Rayquaza start to come back down, trying to get some energies onto this board.
Yeah, Rescue Stretcher brings that Rayquaza back up into Sean's hand and quickly hits the field one more time as Sean finds that grass energy through Rayquaza's Stormy Winds.
So
I like kind of like how Rayquaza kind of like tells a tale within its card. Stormy Winds is the ability and whatnot. It's just it's a really flavorful card, actually. I really do think so.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to see your favorite card.
Oh man, Cynthia, one more time. Why not? You know what? In this particular spot, it's very powerful for Sean, as this deep in the game, when you have no like artillery style effects, you'll take 6 cards every turn from your supporter card. As Marshadow is a very interesting card for sure, but man, can it backfire on you when you don't have any abilities that draw you cards.
This was a pretty good hand to draw off of it, honestly. He found Guzma, so he's got potential follow-up knockouts, but he found the Rayquaza. He was also able to get an energy into the discard pile, so that means that when he does start to use Stormy Winds, he's got guaranteed ways to find energies.
Sure. We see that Jinx get discarded off of the Ultra Ball here. We were thinking that maybe Jinx would be able to make a bit of a splash in this particular matchup, but it seems like it might be too late for that kind of a play here, as Buzzwole's kind of entered its haymaker stage of the game, as it's now going to be dealing just way too much damage every turn, and Jinx's 10 damage heal is just not going to be particularly relevant. No. And now we see another Rayquaza hit the field and finds a lightning energy.
Yep, and we're also going to see that Marshadow come down, so Let Loose is going to shuffle both these players up. That means that it's up to Joe now to find those Beast Rings again. He's going to lose the 2 that he had in his hand, and Foisy's probably thinking he's in a pretty good spot.
We said at the end of Joe's turn that Foisy was going to have to kind of sniff out Joe's hand here, and it seems like that's exactly what Foisy did, as he extended his bench to the maximum here in order to shuffle Joe's hand back into his deck. He kind of knew that Joe was setting up for this big Beast Ring turn, and he needed to find a way to really minimize the amount of damage that Beast Ring could do to him right now, as Joe is going to be forced to find not only a beast ring here, but also maybe potentially a Buzzwole GX and a second beast ring if he wants to have as powerful a turn as he was set up to have at the end of his last turn.
Yeah, Sean was really looking to find a max elixir off of those 4 cards. If he was, he'd be able to promote Rayquaza, which has 10 more hit points, and that means that he wouldn't be in range of a knockout from just Choice Band alone. It'd have to be a little more difficult, but Tapu Lele is able to score the knockout and also has that Wishful Baton, so those energies are probably going to stay on the board.
Such an interesting deck here out of Joe as he just plays a Pal Pad.
I mean, consistency's king. If you're able to get those cards right back and with double Octillery, you're probably going to find exactly what you need.
Sure, and it's also an item card which you can get rid of very, very fast with your Octillery, or for your Octillery in order to be able to Abyssal Hand for additional cards. And now I think we see a Cynthia. And Cynthia will be drawing Joe 6 new cards. Still looking for his Beast Ring here. But at least he's found a second fighting Pokemon that he wants to attach Beast Ring onto, or play Beast Ring 4.
Yep, he does need a Choice Band in order to take the knockout here, but Beast Ring would be pretty great to start to set up that Buzzwole GX to start knocking out some Pokemon in the future turns. It does have Octillery, so Ultra Ball would be another card if he could start to thin out a little bit.
Finds a Beast Ring, but does not find a Choice Band yet.
Can he even play any of the cards in his hand?
We'll find out.
Yeah, he's just... No.
Oh, man, he already attached the basic fighting, right?
Yeah, he drew into some pretty unfortunate cards there. Swing Around potentially can hit for the same amount of damage. So I don't think we're going to see that. I'm not sure what we're going to go with here.
I mean, I've seen people swing around before, but in this particular case, I would hope I don't. Yeah, wow. Just wow. This is not going to be a very good spot here for Joe, as Sean actually finds the play that gets him right back into this game, and now Joe seems to be on the back foot. What do you think about that, the Beast Ring onto Baby Buzzwole here?
I think it was a hedge against playing, if you play the energies on the Buzzwole, Guzma is a huge target. He'd be able to Guzma up your Buzzwole GX, knock that out, take 2 energies off the board, and then you're left with no real attacker.
Sure.
So I guess he's okay with this. This also means that Beast Ring is available next turn because Sean's still going to be at 3 prizes, and that means that he could get his Buzzwole going on the following turn. So I don't dislike the play. It's just a little unfortunate that that's what it came to.
I mean, that's fair. It's just such a tough spot here, as now Sean is down to 3 prizes. Joe still has 4 remaining and no energy on the field, as opposed to Sean's like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So it's just a very clear advantage here for Sean, as he's used up all the resources he's been able to. He filled up his bench with double Marshadow, and he's put himself in a winning position out of it, though. And that's about all you can ask for in this game.
Joe is strong energy Choice Band Guzma away from winning the game, actually, on a 4-prize swing. If he gets the Tapu Leles, he'd be able to actually knock them both out. So that's something that it's definitely going to be in the back of his mind, but probably going to just, if he doesn't hit the Beast Ring here, he can go and take the easy knockout he has on the Tapu Lele. But look at that. Found Beast Ring. That means he's going to be able to lock out this big Rayquaza here, and he's just going to have to snipe for 30 to knock out that Lele for the game on the following turn.
Yeah, I think there were exactly 2 fighting energies left in the deck, too. So just perfect little setup here for Joe, as Joe now finds the play to put himself right back into a potentially winning position.
Yeah, this is a pretty good spot for him. Awkwardly, Sean does play a lot of cards that can heal. So if you got a Champions Festival, he'd actually be able to take away the damage, and his Tapu Lele would be able to survive. But I think Sean's going to lose all his energies this turn, and it's going to start to go pretty downhill from here.
Yeah, there's no baton right now. So we should see Okay, so Field Blower actually gets rid of the Float Stone as well. We should see a knockout here from Joe, and as long as Sean doesn't find his Champions Festival, it will be Joe's game for sure. And even if he does, I mean, really, Joe already has a Guzma in hand.
Yeah, he's set this up pretty well for not drawing too great. He's been able to set up a board that's pretty resilient, and Sean just can't find much. He's going to look through his discard pile and try to see if there's any outs potentially to getting enough energies on board. He's going to need to find 4 more energies this turn, so he's got his attachment and then a Rayquaza and then 2 max elixirs would have to be the way to do that. And that's really, really hard to do. Especially when you throw away a Rayquaza.
Yeah, there's no Pokemon left in his deck at all. He might just be forced to scoop up his cards right now. And he does. He scoops up his cards. Sean sees the writing on the wall. He sees the remainder of his deck. It just did not have the tools necessary to win this game, as Joe, regardless of how, honestly kind of slow his deck felt at the time, at times, just managed to put enough damage on the board regardless of not getting knockouts so that he could ensure that he'd be able to set up a very easy final turn for himself.
Yep. It's interesting to see that Joe, he kind of just plays a bad deck until his opponent gets to 4 prizes, and then he wins. And the problem is, if your opponent wants to win the game, most of the time they got to take some prize cards. So Joe's like, all right, you're going to have to beat this one Buzzwole, and if you do, then I'm going to give you a lot more to work with. And Sean wasn't able to deal with it.
So now that we've seen this first game play out, do you feel like Sean is just heavily disadvantaged in this matchup, or was this first game just not truly telling of how the matchup's supposed to play out?
I feel like the more consistent lists that go really aggressive and don't play the cards like the Jinx and Marshadow have an advantage. Maybe these cards are hindering him, honestly, just because he's got a lot of cards that he could play on his bench, but they're not Rayquaza. He's not going really aggressive and landing all those cards. He does have Wishful Baton to help him out. I think it was just a mix of his draws that was a little unfortunate, and just the way that his deck is built, it kind of hinders him in that scenario. So I guess if I had to put money on anyone, I'd say Joe. But Sean definitely is not out of it. He can win this matchup. He has to draw the right parts of his deck in the beginning.
Okay, well, now Joe is setting up his prizes, and we see a Beast Energy and a Beast Ring, as well as a Strong Energy, just to boot. So that's a lot of powerful cards in Joe's prizes here. And now Foisy's prizes are much better, actually, with
Triple
the exception
Grass.
of Triple Grass.
Yeah. Triple Grass can be unfortunate. It does look like he was able to find one early. Most of these players who are playing Rayquaza go with a 7-7 split, just so that you draw into equal mix of those energy cards, but potentially could see him running into issues not finding grass energies.
Yeah, it will be pretty important for him to find grass energies as soon as possible, as we see a grass energy on his active Pokemon right now, as he's now got basically access to 3 more for the.
Oh, did he just have the Marshadow to open?
Oh, geez.
That's okay. He was able to draw out of it, but yeah, that is really scary. Just imagine having to opening judge yourself and just hope that you draw into something.
You know who else it's scary for, though? It's pretty scary for Joe, who's sitting on a Remoraid and nothing else.
That's true.
Joe is sitting there going, oh, man, if this Marshadow gets me, if he lets too loose, well, there's a grass energy in the discard pile here for Sean right away, by the way. But yeah, if he gets too loose and Joe is left with no supporters in hand, then this could be a very quick game, too.
Yep. Don't ever go too loose.
That's not a motto I live by. All right. Sean Foisy debating on his Ultra Ball.
Yeah, he already lost one Rayquaza, so don't know if he wants to go too aggressive. Looks like he's just going to sit back and see if he put Joe into one of those hands. And,
oh, wow.
There's the answer.
As Joe forced to play a very, very quick game, or turn 1, maybe the fastest turn 1 we'll ever see, as he's forced to just play a Fighting Energy onto a Buzzwole GX and pass his turn. Now, Sean, obviously with a huge hand advantage here against Joe, wants to avoid letting loose any further for the time being, but he also wants to start taking knockouts. If he can start taking knockouts right now, then this is going to be huge for Sean, and he could very well win a very quick game, too.
Yeah, we're really just going to see what he values here in the matchup now. If he goes with a lot of Rayquazas and he gets a lot of energies in play, it's going to be good for him, but he could potentially miss the attack. So we might actually see him go with the Tapu Koko GX this turn to be able to shift some energies up if he is able to find a lightning energy for this Rayquaza.
There's a Rayquaza again. Finds himself just the grass energy that he had in his discard pile already.
Yeah, so it looks like that might be a little more of a difficult route. So he might go aggressive here, start to use the Ultra Balls, fill out his board a little bit more, and then you use a big supporter like a Sycamore or Cynthia.
All right. Ultra Balls. Oh, man. This is pretty intense right now as Sean is really trying to find a way to cement this position of his.
Yeah, and as bad as Joe's hand is, it certainly could have an Octillery.
Exactly.
So you have to play aggressively. You have to go for that float stone and just try to make a big push.
You're exactly right here, as Sean, I think, agrees with us and does play as Cynthia, looking for that float stone. That's going to be the most important card here you can find, but of course not going to be enough, as he's going to need he's going to want some max elixirs and stuff too.
Yeah, he is not attached for the turn. He actually chose to put that away. So he'd need to find an...
Wow.
Okay.
What do we have here?
I don't know what sound just came out of me, but that was max elixirs for sure.
Max elixir hitting right away. Well, we knew what he needed, and so did he. And he got it. Max elixir number 2. Joe starting to shake in his boots. Finds the lightning energy. And a grass energy as well. And he spreads them out.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has no way to retreat, so he's just going to have a ton of energies and just going to have to sit there next turn.
Well, he misses on the third one, so as cool as it was, it's still not powerful enough, as now he's got to kind of hope that there's no Octillery in sight.
You don't ever Tempest here, do you?
I think you might.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, his hand just didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too much to lose.
That Ultra Ball here, huge Ultra Ball for Joe. Will it find him an Octillery or will it find him a Tapu Lele? Looks like he's eyeing down the Tapu Lele, also eyeing down that Octillery. I think I'd go for the Lele myself, but Octillery would not be the worst choice in the world.
Yeah, being that he's throwing away the Choice Band, I would assume that this is going for a Lele, because Choice Band would be a card that he could play down and then draw up more. But I don't know what that last card in his hand is. It could be another Choice Band, to be honest.
All right, now Lele is the card to go for it. It was another Choice Band, actually.
Yeah, definitely a safe call. Anytime your opponent Tempest or Big Wheels or uses Magical Ribbon, get rid of that hand. It's probably really good.
Oh, man. We cannot downplay the power of Sean's second turn here, even though he wasn't able to establish the knockout on the Remoraid, and that could obviously backfire, as we've seen Joe top deck that Ultra Ball, and he's now right back in this game. But look at this board for Sean. If Rayquaza's ever looked prettier, I'd really like to see it.
Yeah, he's at a perfect spot right now. The only thing that's missing is starting to get those wishful batons and another Rayquaza down. But
he even has that Champions Festival too, man.
Top 32 stamp. Looking good.
All right, Ultra Ball here. By the way, he did find a Floatstone and an Octillery. So Joe now firing on all cylinders himself. This is looking like it's going to be a beautiful game here, as both of these players just have everything going for him right now.
And he's holding onto a B-string too. So after this Buzzwole potentially falls next turn, he's just going to be able to go off. So as bad as that hand was, it's turned into something pretty nice.
Yeah, that was just perfect. Honestly, as good as it gets here with that Ultra Ball. Joe just smiling from ear to ear. He knows he got himself out of a really, really rough spot there. As I'm excited to see the rest of this game now. Whoa, my goodness.
It's too many. It's too many. I don't even know what you do with that many.
You really hope your opponent knocks out your Buzzwole GX is what you do.
That's for sure. He's going to have to find more Pokemon. So that is an issue that he has, but overall, he's got a lot of potential energies to come down next turn.
Talk about a good problem to have, man. He does deal 90 damage or 80 damage to the Rayquaza GX in the active position, and 30 damage to one of the bench Rayquaza GXs. So his turn was not meek at all. But well, by the way, Sean Foisy's hand is basically just goosebumps
and energy cards. Looks like a theme deck. He's just going to go in, but he's got enough. He did enough last turn to where he feels comfortable just starting an attack.
Oh, man. Well, that's going to be more than enough to knock out this Buzzwole GX. And that's kind of what Joe wanted, right?
Yeah.
Joe's A-okay with this happening as Joe's got triple B-string. Sean about to get the bad news here. Will Joe find another Buzzwole GX, though?
Yeah, he'd like to find another Buzzwole and probably a Guzma. If you're able to cash in on the Sledgehammer turn, which is something that he's had difficulty doing, that'd be pretty nice for him. Get a knockout on a Rayquaza, gets rid of 2 energies. It's probably going to be difficult to remove
how many fighting
the
energies
3
left
energies.
In his deck? There's 4 fighting energies left in his deck. How convenient.
Okay, so he's actually going to forego the second B-string. And just skip that. He's got Choice Band in hand, so he can play 1 more card down, and he's really going to be looking for a card like Brooklet Hill here.
This is going to be an interesting turn out of Joe. We're going to see exactly how he values his cards. Needs to get a lot of help from his Octillery's Abyssal Hand, though, that's for sure. Draws 3 cards, finds another Baby Buzzwole, and a Pal Pad. Okay, well, it's a target.
Yep, he was also able to find the Strong Energy, so that actually means that he can take a knockout with Sledgehammer. With the Choice Band, Deante, and Strong Energy, he's going to be hitting for
200?
Enough damage. I believe it's 190 or one of those numbers that's big.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
It's enough.
120, 150, 170, 190, yeah. That is
sure.
a pretty
I'll
good
take
spot.
your word for it.
Yeah. I've come to learn if you just say numbers fast, people believe you. So.
Pal Pad finds double Guzma. Sure enough, just such a powerful card. Needs to have it in his deck as often as possible. And Joe will get this knockout, but as powerful as that would normally be, we're still going to see plenty of backup attackers here out of these Rayquazas. And Joe's only left with his Sledgehammering Baby Buzzwole on the bench. Still needs an additional energy in order to be able to start swinging around, and that's just not what you want to be doing when your opponent's at 3 prizes.
Right, and that means that the way that Joe's going to win this match is to probably target down the Pokemon that already have damage on them, because it's going to be really hard to take one-hit knockouts on Pokemon with 180 hit points. But when they're softened up like this, Joe certainly is in the running.
Yeah, lucky for him. All these Rayquaza GXs have damage on them right now. But, Sean's turns are just so fast right now as Sean really has nothing left to do. Just has enough damage to knock out these Rayquaza these Baby Buzzwoles. And now Joe, as powerful as B-String is, it may not be as powerful as Stormy Winds.
Yep, we're going to see from Joe the Super Rod. He's going to shuffle in some energies along with that Buzzwole. His opponent is at 3 prize cards, so that last B-String is still eligible to get him some energies. And I think that's one of the ways that he can put himself in a dominant spot if those energies were to land on a Buzzwole GX.
Does he still have it in his hand?
He played 3. I don't know what the rest of his hand had, though. Looks like he's holding on to Beast Energy. This puts his Buzzwole Sledgehammer up to hitting for base 130, so he just needs 1 flip now.
Well, Abyssal Hand did absolutely nothing for him. He chooses to just Cynthia, not ending his opponent down to a 3-card hand, even though obviously Sean does have more than 3 cards in hand. Probably a smart choice, especially if he knew Sean's hand right now.
Yeah, I think he has a good idea of that. And Joe was looking for Guzma there, or potentially a Choice Band that would guarantee a knockout. Guzma would mean he'd be able to knock out the Rayquaza on the bench, and there's no way that Sean's able to get enough energies down into play. It'd be really difficult for him with the way his hand has just been working out. But
Brooklet Hill.
Joe's just going to be able to keep on pushing here.
You definitely find that Buzzwole GX here as your opponent is at 3 prizes.
All right, so if Joe was not able to find the Choice Band, it's going to come down to some swing away flips, swing around.
How many heads does he need? He's got a Beast Energy on him.
He needs 1.
He's got 110, 130. Yeah.
These are the big plays, man. You got to do it.
All right. Well, let's play some Pokemon. Swing around. Double.
Hey,
there it is.
There
One
it
head.
is.
All right, big time flip here out of Joe, as now Sean is left with a single Rayquaza GX out of that devastating looking board on turn 2 from him. Just 2 energy left, 1 Rayquaza GX with 80 damage on it.
Insult to injury, we see Wishful Baton.
Oh, man. Definitely Wishful Baton is the kind of card that you just wish you saw early on. As now Sean looking to see if he has anything else he can do. Sean, I don't think is out of it quite yet. He does need to come up with something, though. Does he have another Rayquaza GX, for example?
Yeah, he would.
Shadow just won't do much here.
Right. The auxiliary is in play, so we knew Joe was going to be able to refresh his hand.
Oh, man, this is not good if you're Sean. Sean takes a big gulp. All right. This is just a really tough spot here. He's going to have to find a way to knock out this Buzzwole GX or hope his opponent doesn't have a Guzma.
His out might just be Tapu Koko from this point. He'd need to hit Rayquaza into a Lightning Energy and then have an energy in hand along with the Koko. Be able to push those energies up, but it's looking pretty bleak.
He has an Ultra Ball, but no energy.
Could he try for another Marshadow? Is there one more?
Oh, man. 2 prizes. Oh, there's that last Beast Ring, by the way, for Joe. So it was prized. Ultra Ball fighting Tapu Lele, finding a Professor Sycamore.
Yep. He has not played a supporter for the turn. The earlier effect was Let Loose.
Correct. So now 7 new cards out of Sean. Finds a Marshadow, a Wishful Baton, Guzma. Just not the Tapu Koko.
Yeah, and honestly, it may have already hit the discard. It's hard to keep track when stormy wind starts happening. Everything goes everywhere.
That's true. And we see a third Let Loose. Okay. Well, Sean is definitely not saying, not tapping out without giving him a good fight here.
Yeah, go with the fatigue plan. You can just wear down Joe's fingers after enough shuffling. Maybe he just gives up.
All right, Sean draws 4 more cards. Does he find anything? Finds a Tapu Koko.
Finds
and
Max
a Max
Elixir.
Elixir.
Just no energy, though, to go with it. So, yeah, I don't think it's possible. Yeah, he's just going to have to throw it in.
Scoops up his hand. He had a lot of draws to find what he needed, but what he needed was just so much. Joe just played a very fantastic game, if I'm being honest with you.
Absolutely.
Joe knew what he had to do. He knew he had to play it about as long-term as possible with the Rayquaza GXs. He knew that there was just so much energy on the field for Sean.